Its size made it great in traffic. But the Mini wasn't just a city car. People found it ideal for getting out of town. While BMC was happy that the Mini was family-friendly, they thought it could also be a racer. They prepared several cars for rallying. These special cars debuted at the Monte Carlo Rally in 1960. They started the rally in Paris and were pitted against Ferrari, Lotus, and other exotics driven by people like Stirling Moss, Phil Hill, John Surtees, and Dan Gurney. The little cars held their own, gripping the road while others spun out. Surprisingly, they handled like sports cars. The drivers had a lot of fun, but the Minis finished far back in the pack. They needed more power to successfully compete. A friend of Issigonis, John Cooper, whose team had just won the World Driving Championship, convinced the company to let him build a Mini designed for rallies. In 1964, the more powerful Mini Cooper S was ready to be raced. He doubled the output of the 34 horsepower engine, and the cars started to perform. The first big outing at Monte Carlo turned into a victory. The Mini showed the world it could race. Another win at Monte Carlo followed in 1965. To prove this wasn't a fluke, they won again in 1967. The Mini seemed to be everywhere. Everyone seemed to be in the buying habit, including nuns, airline pilots, flight attendants, and especially pop stars, who found the Minis to be the ideal way to get around. It was the car to have, even if you could afford a Rolls-Royce. The Mini was more than a car. It was a fashion statement, a frame of mind, an icon in the making. Anything seemed possible in a Mini. This series of commercials summed it up. Every Beatle had one. Peter Sellers, Dudley Moore, King Hussein of Jordan, Steve McQueen, and even Enzo Ferrari were taken by Mini Mania. The millionth Mini was made in 1965. The second million followed in 1969. By 1972, over 3 million Minis were roaming the streets of the world. It was a remarkable feat that no one could have predicted. Clearly, the Mini had arrived. The Minis were still burning up the track. Their price and performance made them a popular choice for amateur racing enthusiasts. Anyone could buy a Mini, customize it, and take it racing. Clubs began to form, and fans of this tiny car even began to roll up to the drag strip. It was a way to prove how capable their cars were. The Mini could reach over 100 miles per hour in 13 seconds as it catapulted down the quarter mile. This gave new meaning to the term funny car. But while the guys were revving up the Minis on the track, sales were slumping in the showroom. In a series of consolidations and mergers, BMC became British Leyland, then the Rover Group, and in the process, product development suffered. There was nothing new to sell. The latest management, however, vowed to jumpstart sales and get things moving again. They could rely on the loyalty of Mini owners to keep the car alive, and these fans show their passion every year at the Mini in the Park, probably the biggest event of its kind in the world. Thousands of Mini owners flock to the Cotswolds rolling hills to show off their cars and share their passion. Such a gathering is always a good place to discover all the things you can do to personalize your Mini. Trying out the nearly unlimited number of add-ons is part of the fun of owning one. Sharing Mini gossip is another. In 1994, news of the company's pending sale reverberated through the army of loyalists. That year, BMW acquired the Rover Group, the company that owned the Mini, as well as Land Rover, Rover Cars, and MG. BMW made a huge investment in modernizing the group. In 1996, they promised there would be an all-new Mini for the new millennium. Importantly, it would be built in the UK. There was much concern during BMW's ownership of the Rover Group about what the new Mini would look like. These concept cars appeared at the Geneva Motor Show in 1997 and were billed as the successor to the Mini. While they may have been the very epitome of the modern small car, few were prepared to accept them as a new Mini. They just didn't look and feel right. The Mini Cooper Monte Carlo, another 1997 concept car, was closer to what most thought of as the original Mini. It was named to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the final Mini Cooper victory at Monte Carlo. It was taken to Monaco for the 1997 rally and shown to the press. Many hoped this was an indication of what the new Mini would look like. This would be the first all-new product from the Mini brand since its inception in 1959. The designers and engineers knew they had to get it just right. It had to be a car that would work in the city and also be fun to drive on tight, twisty roads. Passenger safety and comfort was more of a concern with the modern Mini than it was originally. They used advanced computer design tools and showed how far we'd come since the days when Issigonis sketched the first one. He could only imagine what his finished drawings would look like. Today, designers can see 3D renderings on their desktops and change them with the click of a mouse. But all of the new technology was no insurance that they'd get it right. It will be up to the public to deliver the verdict. While the designers worked on the next generation of Minis, the fans celebrated the 40th anniversary of the car. Thousands of people poured into the Silverstone race circuit to salute their favorite icon. It was a bittersweet fun fest.